A lot has changed in the 5 decades since his family bought this place. Visitorship to neighboring Zion National Park has jumped 5-fold, and the bumbleberry business has boomed. Smith says they've gone through up to 13 tons of berries in a single year. But the pie, that's the same as always.
Recipe does not change.
No matter how big of a celebrity the bumbleberry becomes, for Melanie Madsen and her family, it'll always be a reminder of Grandma. Each year around the holidays, they still get together and bake the pie.
It's tradition.
Yeah. They've tried tweaking the recipe, but in the end, she says nothing can top Grandma's original. For NPR News, I'm David Kondos in Springdale, Utah.
This is Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Michelle Martin.
Marketplace Morning Report is coming up next, and then in 10 minutes at 9 o'clock, it's the BBC NewsHour on WNYC. Let's check in with London to see what they're working on. London, good morning.
Good morning, WNYC. I'm James Menendez. Today on NewsHour, Israel and Hamas have agreed a deal to pause fighting so that 50 hostages can be released from Gaza and aid sent in. We'll hear from the families of some of those being held. Also, the chaos at OpenAI. Now it says co-founder Sam Altman will return as CEO. That's BBC NewsHour at 9 on WNYC.
51, and I finally see some sunshine this morning, although we're still under advisories for high winds and coastal flooding. Mostly cloudy today on this Thanksgiving Eve, warmer than yesterday, all the way up to 60. Then tomorrow, Thanksgiving Day, sunny and 53 and breezy. It's 8:51.
WNYC supporters include Greenwich Entertainment presenting Smoke Sauna Sisterhood, a new film set in the world of the Estonian smoke sauna, where women have long found communion and a safe place to share their innermost secrets. Awards eligible. Opens Friday at the IFC Center.
Next time on 1A, we speak to actor Carey Mulligan. She stars in the new movie Maestro alongside Bradley Cooper.
My husband, the children, and acting takes the rest of the time that's left over.
And memorizing my projects.
I can't help that.
Mulligan's performance as Felicia, wife of conductor and composer Leonard Bernstein, is sensational. Could it win her and the film an Oscar next year? The Movie Club reviews Maestro next time on 1A. Weekdays at 3 on WNYC or live stream it at WNYC.org.
There's power in employees threatening to quit en masse.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by UKG, an HR payroll and workforce management solution designed to help make a fairy tale workplace a reality. UKG, our purpose is people.
I'm David Brancaccio in New York. Friday, the nonprofit board that governed OpenAI, maker of ChatGPT, fired its much-admired boss. By Sunday, Sam Altman found a plum job at Microsoft. By this Monday, OpenAI employees were fixing to quit en masse. Now, today, Wednesday, we can tell you that Altman is now going back to OpenAI as the boss. The question of why this all happened lingers. Marketplace's Nova Safo reports.
OpenAI says it's still ironing out the details of Sam Altman's return, but it will include changes to the nonprofit board, which governs the for-profit arm of the company. Among those reportedly stepping down, Ilya Sutskever, OpenAI's co-founder and chief scientist, and an advocate of a go-slow approach to artificial intelligence deployment in order to ensure safety. He helped oust Altman, then reversed himself. Here's Sutskever at a TED Talk just a few weeks ago.
In addition to working with governments and helping them understand what is coming and prepare for it, we are also doing a lot of research on addressing the technological side of things so that the AI will never want to go rogue.
Altman wants rapid deployment of AI tools while also advocating for safety measures.
I think we're probably less safe today.
Christian Hammond heads the Center for Advancing Safety of Machine Intelligence at Northwestern University. He says the tension between commercialization of AI tools and the push for safety was at the heart of Altman's brief ouster.
I'm not by any means a doomsayer with regard to AI, but the very issues that individuals on the board were promoting are the issues that are being now ignored because they pushed hard and they pushed with panic.
Those issues, Hammond says, include data transparency and ensuring AI systems are not biased or abusive. I'm Nova Safo for Marketplace.
Note that one of the reasons OpenAI has this unusual nonprofit board structure governing for-profit operations was to better balance safety concerns about a dangerous technology with the demands of commercial success. The CEO of Binance, the biggest cryptocurrency exchange, is leaving after pleading guilty to felony money laundering at the company. It's part of a larger $4 billion settlement with the feds over Binance operating illegally and busting economic sanctions. The Treasury said Binance helped Hamas, Al-Qaeda, and others move money around. Treasury Secretary Yellen calls this the largest such settlement in the department's history, but Eric Gordon, a professor at the University of Michigan's Ross School of Business, is surprised the penalty's not bigger given the enabling of terrorism part.
People in the crypto world are breathing a sigh of relief because they were worried about the possibility that Binance would be put out of business, that the biggest crypto exchange would be gone, and that hasn't happened. So crypto lives on.
Binance said in a statement that it made misguided decisions as the exchange grew and that the deal acknowledges the company's, quote, responsibility for historical and criminal compliance violations. Markets, S&P futures are now up 0.25%. Dow futures are now up about 0.1%. Crude oil down 4% now, below $75 a barrel after the oil producers cartel OPEC postponed a planned meeting on production and prices this weekend.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Schwab. Schwab offers investors choices like full-service wealth management, self-directed investing options, and trading on Thinkorswim. More at schwab.com.
You know, in a little eBay auction, if bids don't reach the reserve price, the thing doesn't sell. That happened last week at the auction house Bonhams in New York, and Andy Warhol's sculptural piece didn't sell because bidding didn't hit the $600,000 reserve. Art critic Blake Gopnik wrote a big book about Warhol. He spoke to our Sabri Benishore about the auction that bombed.
So let's just describe the sculpture real quick so people can imagine it. It's called Bomb. It looks kind of like a bomb, torpedo.
Looks exactly like a bomb because it actually is a bomb. It was a 100-pound practice bomb that the Air Force used. It's painted silver, and it actually is uglier than it even looks in photographs. It is not a pretty object, which is why I think it should have sold for tens of millions of dollars, because it's actually closer to the heart of what matters about Andy Warhol's art than anything colorful and pleasant and poppy would be.
We're going to get to how much it should have gone for in a second, but before the auction, Bonhams estimated Bomb would get somewhere between $600,000 and $800,000. It did not get even to that minimum. So how do art auction houses come up with these estimates? And then really, how are bidders coming up with the bids they're willing to put in?
The world of the art market, and especially of auctions, is very strange. It's really about psychology more than anything else. The people who work in auction houses are often trained as art historians, but their real expertise is in psychology. And I have to admit that the brilliant auctioneer/psychologists at Bonhams were right in realizing that this bomb by Andy Warhol might not appeal so much to collectors. In fact, it ended up appealing less to anyone than they thought. And that's why it didn't actually sell, that the highest bid was only $480,000, which for Warhol is not much money at all.
Why do you think it should have gotten more than it did?
You know, the real heart of Andy Warhol's art, the thing that drives it, is its use of things that are found around us in everyday culture. It's really the heir to Marcel Duchamp's famous 1917 sculpture called Fountain, which was nothing more than a store-bought urinal. So this is, like that, something that Warhol just took from the world. That's what we call a ready-made in art history. It's, I think, Warhol's only actual ready-made.
The pop art movement, which Andy Warhol kind of headlined, made original art accessible to the masses conceptually, but at this point, it's not particularly financially accessible. What do you think he'd say about how his art is valued today?
Warhol's a funny creature because I won't pretend that he didn't love money. I mean, most of us love money. He loved it maybe a little more than some people, but no more than a lot of people do. But he was also really interested in undermining normal capitalism, undermining the art market. I think he liked the trouble this work causes. Warhol, people don't realize this because he's now such a famous artist. He was really a troublemaker, like Marcel Duchamp. He wanted to cause problems for people. And this bomb is a classic example of that.
Blake Gopnik, art critic and author of Warhol, thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure to be on the show, Sabri.
Marketplace's Sabri Benishore with Blake there. We are from APM, American Public Media.
Support for WNYC comes from Netflix presenting Maestro. Bradley Cooper directs and stars as conductor-composer Leonard Bernstein, and the love story chronicling his lifelong relationship with actress wife Felicia, played by Carey Mulligan, now playing in select theaters and on Netflix December 20th.
Up next, the BBC NewsHour on WNYC. Today on the Brian Lehrer Show, a conversation about Argentina's newly elected far-right libertarian president, including how much he's like the U.S.'s 45th, plus how you plan to stay civil at your Thanksgiving dinner, even if the conversation turns to divisive politics. That's at 10 this morning. 51 and cloudy, but clearing up out there. I see some sunshine today. Mostly cloudy, though, and a high near 60. Thanksgiving sunny and 53.
This is WNYC, FM, HD, and AM, New York.
Welcome to NewsHour from the BBC World Service. Hello, I'm James Menendez. Israel's continuing its military offensive in Gaza ahead of a planned pause in the fighting. That's in return for the release of 50 hostages taken by Hamas last month and dozens of Palestinian prisoners.
Hamas is holding 240 hostages, including over 30 children. We have a moral obligation to bring them home, so we're holding our noses and we're doing what we have to do.
We'll get details of the agreement, reaction from relatives of some of the hostages, and we'll look at how the pause might affect Israel's military strategy.
I think there is a risk. That's exactly the strategy that Hamas is aiming for. So slowing down the operation. However, Israel will not keep this reality when it has Hamas across the border, whatever the cost it is.
Also today, the boardroom shuffle at OpenAI, elections in the Netherlands, and auctioning off a Sultan of Swing's guitars. All that and more after the news.
Hello, this is Julie Candler with the BBC News. Israel says it's continuing to strike Hamas targets in the Gaza Strip ahead of a planned 4-day break in the fighting. The start of the pause is due to be announced within 24 hours.